Hello everybody, I am Lightning Stripe, and today, I think I finally figured it out. About a week ago, I started working on a theory video for what happened to the other kingdoms, and decided to add a little update for the whole Discord's back conundrum. I'll leave the bulk of the explanation for next week when that video comes out, but here's a little rundown. Apparently, according to the new synopsis, Discord is now on the loose, meaning that he was trapped at one point. I couldn't figure out why that would be, so I thought maybe about the idea that he's using chaos as a way to mourn the loss of Fluttershy, and that maybe Twilight had trapped him because of that. Then I remembered something that Hasbro had said a long time ago. Twilight won't outlive her friends. And that's when it hit me, what that actually means. Twilight won't outlive her friends. She won't live as long as her friends, and neither will her reign. Her reign ends early, and, if my suspicions are correct, abruptly. For some reason, Twilight passes away before any of her friends. What that reason is, we don't have enough to speculate. But I've watched Equestria for long enough to know how it would react. Almost immediately, a ceremony would be held to honor her life, and then a meeting would bring the news to the other kingdoms, which would do all they can to help. Her group of friends would be heartbroken, each affected in different ways. Spike and Rainbow Dash, usually bright and motivated, would be lost, stuck in denial. Pinkie Pie would deflate, never the same. But then again, none of them would be. Applejack would overwork herself, trying not to think of the harsh truth. But when it came, the tears she usually held inside wouldn't stay that way. Rarity would lock herself up in the carousel boutique, crying. Fluttershy. I'm not sure she could bring herself to go to the ceremony. She would lock herself up in her cabin, isolated from anyone aside from her animals, Disco doing whatever he could to make her happy again. But the real problem wouldn't be Twilight's 5 friends, but the power vacuum she leaves behind. Under normal circumstances, the throne would be given to another alicorn, but there's very few options in this case. Based on the main six's ages during the last problem, and how divided the tribes are in the movie, I don't think Twilight would have enough time to properly train Luster Dawn into alicornhood before she passed, meaning she may not be able to rule, and even if she was, she probably wasn't ready to. The next choice would be Twilight's other apprentice, Starlight Glimmer. The thing is, she's not an alicorn, and she runs a school, which is probably going through some very tough times right now. Not to mention, she doesn't trust herself in any position of power based on her past. She would also not be able to rule. Then there's Celestia and Luna, but they retired a long time ago. Cadence would be an option, but though she has experience with leading the Crystal Empire, I don't think she would be able to handle that and Equestria. There's Flurry, who we know did something great based on the stained glass panes during the last problem, but though she does have experience and is probably Twilight's age by then, it would leave the Crystal Empire with no backup. As all these characters struggle with what to do, the power vacuum would remain. Other ponies would notice as the once great group of friends begin to drift away from each other, and with no one to place the blame on, some would begin to point to the other tribes, claiming it was their fault. With time, this idea would spread, and the 5 friends would be powerless to stop it. In an act of desperation, they create the Unity Crystals in the hopes of uniting the tribes again, only to have them grab their own crystals and leave. Over time, this would draw a wedge between the tribes, and they would separate. Slowly, as friendship and harmony decrease, so would magic, leaving Equestria as we see now, the power vacuum divided into different tribes as they begin ruling themselves. The other kingdoms, well, that's for another video. So, what do you think? I know the MLP staff don't include deaths in the series since it is a kid show after all, but in this case, it'll have to show up eventually as the main 5 search for clues about the past. Even if it's not stated word for word, I still think that most of what I said would happen naturally as Equestria adapted to a world without the Princess of Friendship. But again, what do you think? Is this how Equestria would react? Do you have any idea what could have brought Twilight's reign to an end? Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, remember, friendship is magic.